Hey guys, and welcome back to the Wellham's World YouTube channel. Today we have another tier list for you. As you can see by the fact that I am in my Pokemon hoodie, nice and cozy, and obviously what you can see on the screen, we are doing a tier list based on the Pokemon types. This is not one I've made myself. I got the idea. Jack gave me the idea. Compact Jack. He told me to look at this because obviously I've been playing a lot of Pokemon on my streams. I've played Eevee, and then I've played I started to play Diamond, or not started to, but I'm in the swing of things with Diamond. It kind of inspired him to buy himself Pearl, and he's been playing it and enjoying it. I thought, why not? I like talking about Pokemon, so this seems like a pretty good idea to do this. So yeah, let's just get into it really. 18 types. We've got Bug, Dark, Dragon, Electric, Fairy, Fighting, Fire, Flying, Ghost, Grass, Ground, Ice, Normal, Ghost, Psychic, Rock, Steel, Water. Now, the kind of thing I have is that obviously they've all got their strengths and weaknesses, so it's going to be hard to judge which ones are the best and which ones are the worst. I don't really know exactly how I'm going to judge this. I can do based on their strengths and weaknesses, or based on like the Pokemon I like, based on the Pokemon I use most. It's really, it can be anything at all. And I could probably start with Bug and probably put it in D. Now, if you look at the tiers, it's S to D, and I don't necessarily think D is horrific. It's the worst tier. It's the lowest tier, but I just never use Bug type Pokemon ever. They're weak to fire, they're weak to flying, they're weak to, I think it's rock, maybe. I think they're strong against grass. That's all I can think of off the top of my head. Maybe fairy, I think. But, or maybe psychic, I can't remember. But I don't think Bug is particularly, I never use it. And it's the same with Steel. I don't really use Steel type Pokemon, but I use Steel type moves on other Pokemon, if that makes sense. Steel is obviously, I believe it's strong against ice I can think of. I think fairy, and I think there's a few others. But Steel's another one where I don't really use it. The only time I've probably really used a Pokemon that's a Steel type Pokemon would be when Prinplup, no, not Prinplup, it would be Empoleon gets the dual typing, gets Water Steel. But other than that, I don't think I use it. But I am going to put it in C, purely because I do use the moves on other Pokemon, like Metal Claw and things like that, which I actually do think are good. And looking across the board, I'm gonna do one that I think everyone that knows me and has watched the streams and stuff. Poison, D. Fucking hate poison with a passion. I hate it. I hate being poisoned. It's probably not bad, as in it shouldn't be D tier as in like typing, because it's quite good. But fuck it so much. I hate it with a pure passion. Pure passion. It can piss off. Not for me. Not for me. I'm gonna stick Ghost in S. Ghost is fighting types have no effect on it. It's strong against Psychic, I believe, and it's strong against itself as well, I think. I don't know if that's right, but it's Gengar. You know, Ghastly, Haunted, Gengar, my goats. There's some cool Ghost type Pokemon. I think the only thing it's weak to is, well, the only thing that I think I've noticed it's very weak to is Dark, which I am also going to put Dark type. in S tier. For me, I don't use many dark type Pokemon in itself. I use a lot of dark type moves, and I'll always have someone with a dark type move, whether it be Bite, usually it is Bite. Obviously, Turtwig then evolves into Torterra, can learn that, and as can Eevee and Let's Go Eevee. So Bite is usually the one, and it just one-shots ghost types, and you don't have to worry about them really ever. Looking at the next, I'm going to put Fighting and Normal both in B. There's obviously a lot of normal type Pokemon, normal type moves. I never really use normal type moves. If a Pokemon has normal type moves on it, I usually tend to, they be the ones I'd replace with new moves. Don't really, obviously normal, not particularly strong against anything, but it's kind of just fine. So I'll tend to replace it with a type. For example, Turtwig in my Diamond had Headbutt and things like that, which is fine, but then I replace it with Grass type moves to have more strength in that sense. Same with Pidgeot, and Starly to Staraptor in the Diamond and Eevee streams, respectively. I tend to remove or tend to replace their normal type moves with flying type moves. Again, I just think there's more benefit to having multiple bases covered within your team. And except for the only time I've not actually done that is Cranidos. I have in my team on Diamond. He's got Headbutt, but he's the Headbutt Pokemon, so I've literally left it on because he's the Headbutt Pokemon. And it feels weird removing Headbutt from him. And that being said, A tier, I am going to put Flying in A tier because the flying type move, Fly, is similar to Dig. But there's also Wing Attack and things like that, which are very strong moves. I always like the early birds, the early root bird, specifically Staraptor, specifically Pidgeot, and then also there's Corviknight, which is a really cool designed Pokemon, and thick, and it's a flying type, obviously. And you quite often get dual types with Flying and Dragon. So you've got Dragonite, I'm pretty sure is a Dragon Flying, don't quote me on that. And with that being said, looking at the rest of them, I don't think there's any more in D, to be completely honest. But I do think there's a few more in C. And the one that goes at the top of C is Dragon. And then I think, for me, Fairy and Psychic also go in C, mainly because I don't use them ever. I very rarely, I don't think I've ever really used Fairy. Maybe Tinkerton in Scarlet Violet. Other than that, I don't think there's any. The only reason Dragon goes at the top is because there are some really cool Dragon type Pokemon. But obviously Dragon is weak to itself, it's weak to Ice, it's weak to Fairy. Fairy, I think it's Poison and maybe Steel. And then Psychic is Bug, Dark, and I want to say Ghost. But again, I just never used them, so can't really put them highly. If I put them high, I'd use them. Simple as that. Or if I use them, I put them high. Whatever way around you want to go. I think I've had Dragonite in a team once, and I can't remember what Pokemon it's on. I feel like it's Scarlet Violet. I've had it on. Other than that, it's not been in my teams really ever. And then I think that's it for D and C. And I think I'm going to put these guys all in B. Now, I don't really use Ice, to be completely honest, except for Articuno I used in Eevee, and he was absolutely sick in terms of Pokemon. But obviously there are other Pokemon that use Ice type moves. The same with Rock. Same with Ground. Sorry, I don't really use Ground type Pokemon all that often. However, things like dig, I usually tend to teach dig to someone. And on Eevee it was Charizard, and he fucked quite a few people up with that. And rock, I don't use all that often. In my diamond one, I've got Granados, like I said, and Shieldon, who is from Pearl, but Jack sent across, and they are cool Pokemon. You got things like Geodude, Onyx, that often here, and I think relatively sound. I mean, Rock Tomb's always good. Ancient Power, I'm pretty sure. I can't remember if Ancient Power is ground or a rock type, but Ancient Power, I have it on Gastrodon. That tends to fuck things up as well. And obviously in Eevee, Marowak, and Cubone have some ground and rock type moves they can use. And I think that's where they lie. And the only thing I can think of now with these last three, or four, is which ones belong in S and which ones belong in A, and I'm kind of tempted. I'm going to put Electric in A. Luxio, Luxray, very strong. Pikachu, if you have Let's Go Pikachu, probably obviously fucks everyone up because it's the title Pokemon. But I can't think of many electric Pokemon that I've had in my teams over the years. I'm trying to think. I think on Eevee I did have electric type moves on someone. I had a move called Buzzy Buzz, which is there's a guy in one of the poker centers and he teaches you Eevee like a bunch of moves, and that was one that, and obviously paralysis, but obviously paralysis doesn't work all the time. You can paralyze someone and they can still just attack you like normal. There's no guarantee that it's actually going to be beneficial to your team. Or beneficial to your fight, to your battle, but it was a strong move. And the reason why I've kept these ones till last is because obviously they're the three that you start with as your starters usually. Obviously with the exception being Let's Go Eevee. Now looking at them, I would tend to pick grass or fire. I very rarely pick water. And there's a lot where water are my least favourites. You've got Piplups, probably my least favourite of that group, although still good. However, Squirtle's probably my favourite of the first gen, so there's that. But you've got like Sobble, which I think is probably the weakest of that one, and you've got Waxley, who I think is probably the weakest of that gen. But I can't just base it purely on the starters, but that does come into effect. Obviously, you've got Turtwig, Bulbasaur, Grookey, and then you've got the fire. You've got people like Fuecoco, Scorbunny, Charmander, Charizard. You've got Infernape and Incineroar and things like that. So, I'm tempted to put fire and grass in top, and then water. There was a move I had on Eevee called Bouncy Bubble, which was one where it drains their life and gives some of it back to you. That was a very effective move. That's very good. Obviously, you can burn people with quite a few fire type moves, and then there's grass type moves such as Mega Drain, such as Leech Seed, Sleep Powder. Actually, I don't know if Sleep Powder is grass type move. I feel like Sleep Powder is a grass type move, but I can't be 100% certain. But still, Razor Leaf's very good as well. Tail Whip's a grass type move, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong there. Could be normal. Don't know for certain. Maybe it's just because I'm thinking it was on my Bulbasaur. But anyway, Vine Whip. Sorry, it wasn't Tail Whip. It was Vine Whip, wasn't it? But yeah, it also has strengths against water, strengths against rock types. I think it does make it more challenging if you pick Turtwig in terms of the grand scheme of things. Because obviously, you start with you go on a journey that's a bit more difficult for that typing. But overall, I would say it's still very strong, and most of the starters I like are grass type. And I would probably hazard a guess that if I was to just go through a game in general, I'd probably end up with a grass type fire type and water type. Try and get one of those, each of those in my team, just because I think it covers quite a few bases. The same with flying type. I tend to just, whatever early route bird you get, whether it, like I said, it be, you know, Star Raptor or Corviknight or whatever it is, tend to keep them in my team. And you know, people could say that this is horrendous. This is a horrendous list, but this is just off my personal experience of playing, like more to do with, rather than to do with what's the best type. It's kind of like what do I like using the most. What annoys me the most when I come against it, being poison, you know, things like that. I don't really think there's any, you know, specific rhyme or reason to this list. This is just what I think it is. Maybe this is a sign for me to use more of the poison, bug, steel, fairy, psychic types. Maybe use more and see if I can get on with them. Use some different moves. Maybe get some TMs and teach those types of moves to other Pokemon. But yeah, that's my list. If you agree, let me know. If you disagree, let me know. I'm sure probably quite a few disagreements. However, that is it for this video. If you did enjoy, please leave a like, and I'll see you on Monday for another stream, probably, and next week on Saturday for another tier list. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.